Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you all for coming on this gorgeous afternoon. I'd like to especially thank Howard Robertson and Joan Doby for organizing and coordinating the Lane Readers series, and also Nancy Carroll Moody and Whitman Hallett. I'm honored to be reading with them.
Would you like to pull that up a little bit, the microphone?
Sure.
Howard just taught me how to do it.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Better?
Yeah. The first poem I'm going to read is called It's Hard to Describe. It's hard to describe how being gone for 2 years altered my understanding of time, space, and desire. I moved my parents' furniture into my 900 square foot 1946 bungalow. Glass doorknobs, curved doorways, firwood floors, scrollwork and engraving on the champagne-tinted lamps. They call it a working man's house, built after World War II. That morning, as we moved furniture under the sharp blue summer sky, the day cascaded and rose in the heavy heat. All the glassware Mother collected in 5 decades of domestic living and working, somehow arranged artfully in my cottage. The screwdriver the young movers left lies by the bed. Everything seems to have changed. Apartment buildings on the rise in the city, the end of a relationship, a movie theater closing, a good friend has left town. Maybe I was gone too long. Telling us, you took photographs of cabbage plants on the evergreen coastal path, art study for a painting. You said you already had the canvas. I immersed myself in the ocean mist. We met again late in the afternoon. The sun was setting on a beach full of rocks. Round amber agates, rusty red stones, white shells of clams and crabs left behind, like lights of the city. Midnight grays, silent and alone. Resting on the edge of the rocky bank, waves turned round rocks over and over, churning, and washed them back up on the beach. We heard the clicking, rattling of rocks against rocks. The bones of the sea told us to begin. Chrome Yellow number 5. We hiked north up Blue River around the dry river bend, the rocks exposed, still winter. Parched riverbed cracked wide and white rock split open, like the black ink of a calligraphy, emblazoned on a piece of white parchment. It's getting dark soon. We need to turn back toward the trailhead. You pose on the timber bridge, let your hair down, drape it across your shoulders. You look back, leave me on the trail. Your painting of Hasita Head Beach is still on my wall, the lighthouse captured in a flash, a shutter, an open window. Small streaks of chrome yellow number 5 paint uplifted, a texture raised off the canvas. Remember going to the village of Yachats, to the Celtic Music Festival? All expectations high for the waves to transport us beyond conflict to other shores, hikes, rivers, and pathways. Point of departure. Standing in your driveway, you look into the night transfixed. Study the trees in your yard, your small plot of earth. The cherry tree along the fence planted for your mother is just now blossoming. In the night sky, the Pleiades, the Archer, Artemis, the Huntress, Diana. Stars negotiate their positions. The constellations, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, the bears, discernible, elegant, yet fierce in the black night. The North Star, the silver brilliance, pierces the stratosphere. True north reflects sharp edges. Brightness falls from the sky. This poem is called Tin Coyote. I work up in Corvallis on Wednesdays, and I'm always in a hurry to get up there, so I go by way of I-5 on the way up. And then I have a leisurely drive on 99 on the way home. And out in the field, I noticed a coyote. I thought it was a coyote. Turned out it was a tin coyote. It was a scarecrow. So it inspired this poem. Tin Coyote. Coyote lurks in fields off Highway 99, north of Irish Bend and Old River. He works hard to keep crows and gulls from the fields, gazing over rolling hills, dependable ally. Coyote spins round and round with the wind, worthy sentry, daunting adversary, paper tiger. His presence lack of blood and bone or soft gray fur tinged with white. His eyes, green and gold, shine, sparkle with wisdom. Canine teeth flash, life not given. Coyote knows his job well. Coyote does not rest, but stands a cool sentry, guarding young plants that will grow into ripe produce. Yellow turnips, radishes, kale, mint to take to market. Purple, green, red burgundy grapes to pour into a bottle of Pinot Noir. Where's Coyote's family? In the mountains, waiting for him to return from his day's work. I enjoy driving to the coast a lot, so you may notice some familiar spots. The title of this poem is Along the Siuslaw River. Railroad tracks twist and spiral around granite mountain slopes, slide under the canopy of Douglas firs, around rocky ridges, through canyons and culverts. Pure stream of river water flows below the trestle. Sweet Creek, Knowles Creek, tributaries, steep hills and gullies down a mountain road. Rocks roll through a stand of snags, stripped of their limbs. Ghostly shadows, broken trees stand alone in ponds, sloughs, and lowland streams off the Siuslaw. Emerging from the long tunnel through the mountain, sunlight ricochets at the end of the dark passage. Trees, different shades of green, cascade down the hills, meet boat ramps and docks on the river. Along the railroad tracks, a few horses graze in a meadow full of wildflowers, blue lupin, scarlet bergamot, and huckleberry. Old mills closed, house on stilts. There was a time when cutting trees knew no limit. Mills quiet now. Wood dryer, pyramid-shaped, weather-beaten, left standing. Winding around the North Fork of the Siuslaw, train tracks roll into the small timber town of Mapleton. Frank's Tavern and the Alphabet Cafe appear across the road. My dad was in the Air Force, and so this poem is called Royal Canadian Air Force. Lining up for the military parade at attention on the landing strip, private first class, sheet metal worker on the B-52s. Silver buttons polished, black boots shine in the sunlight of the clear blue prairie air. Creases on his field service garrison cap, blue-gray uniform sharp, steel wings soaring across his breast pocket. On a night when taps had played, soldiers asleep in their bunks, he scaled a barbed wire fence to visit a certain woman, a young lover in Winnipeg. That hot summer hitchhiking through British Columbia, his weekly pay envelope spent at the beer parlor, raising thick glass mugs. The Salvation Army greeted him with pancakes and bacon. Trading stories with Air Force pals, maintaining airplanes to win the war, serving together day to day, youth and the hope of peace united them. The name of this poem is Shopping. My mother's hands waved through the air like an air traffic controller with a bra. Bleached white cups captured the wind, propelled forward in the downtown department store. Just try it on, it's your size. In the fall before school started, Mom insisted I try on a wool winter coat. I gave in and put it on. Mother tugged the hem once, twice, to straighten the folds, snapped the coat into a snug fit, jerked me into becoming her responsible daughter with a long waist who could wear fashionable clothes. A Christmas present, a nightgown with frills. I wanted plaid flannel pajamas like Dad. Mother had excellent taste. She spent money only on quality clothes that lasted well beyond a second career. I like to go to the university library as well as the downtown library, and this poem is called Whitman in the Stacks. At the university library, there are two guys that look like Walt Whitman. One a happy Walt Whitman, long white beard, ruddy red cheeks, black Levi's, black shirt. He carries a black bag, possibly full of manuscripts. He can usually be found in the magazine section, watching the boys study. The second Walt Whitman is pale, serious. He also wears a long white beard, almost to his waist, rimless glasses, an off-white felt fedora crinkled at the edges, the brim turned up. He can be found in the serious literature section. Either one could debut as Whitman from different periods, pre-Civil War and post-Civil War. The happier Whitman pre-Civil War, before he worked as a nurse in a field hospital, comforting mortally wounded Yankee soldiers. This poem is a phrasic poem, so it's one that was inspired or stimulated by art. And so it's based on a painting by Robert Basinski. He was a painter that was born in Atlanta, and then he served in the Army. And then on the GI Bill, he went to the New York Art Students League, and then lived and painted in Paris for many years. Reflection on Basinski's Hotel de Sol, Paris. I begin to lock the door of my 1946 bungalow. Between the door frame and the door, the painting has captured my attention again. Basinski's Hotel de Sol, Paris. The woman in the street could be Simone de Beauvoir walking, taking the afternoon off from writing. Leaving her small flat on the Boulevard Raspail, she waits at a cafe for Sartre to arrive after his tryst with a student. Drinking black coffee with 3 cubes of sugar, she is patient about his late arrival. Inhaling her gauloise deeply, exhaling the worries about night in the war, assured they will have a good supper. Canadians in San Francisco. A photograph of my parents walking down a Main Street sidewalk in San Francisco, maybe Market Street. Scandinavian in his best suit and tie, he tall, blonde, and slim. She shorter, dark, wearing a long coat, a cloche hat that fits snugly on her head. Her dark hair peeks out, her lips red with fresh lipstick. Just married, they were on their honeymoon. Both looked directly at the camera, smiling, pleased. The sidewalk photographer astute enough to know they were newlyweds, full of hope. They had found the right person. The film Pathfinder is on a movie marquee in the background of the photo. My dad holds his overcoat over his right arm. His left hand looks like it's grasping my mother's hand, but her hand is held alongside his hand. They don't show affection in public. They were Canadians. Canadians are a little more reserved. At least they were in the 50s, but I think that's still true. This poem is called Hiroshima 50th Anniversary, and so I wrote it quite a while back, but it's kind of been evolving over the years, and because we've just recently been the 70th anniversary of Hiroshima. But there's always a commemoration down at Alton Baker Park. Hiroshima, 50th anniversary. And I want to dedicate this to the abolition of all nuclear weapons. Wind twists and turns the paper cranes, pink, red, and orange strung together. Social activists carrying children scattered under the park shelter. Gathering of the concerned, those who lived through World War II along with dread-haired youth, still fighting the old fights. Native American woman of the Kalapua tribe speaks, looking out beyond the crowd, talking about the old ones in New York and Chicago, dying from the heat. The little girl with asthma, it hurts when she breathes. Everything has changed, all of her people decimated. Lines in her face, deep black hair streaked with gray. Radiation has destroyed the thyroids of the salmon. Swimming in circles, they don't know where to spawn. Laid out on the picnic tables, tomatoes, zucchini, and bell peppers, tahini and tabbouleh in recycled containers. Up from the river, which flows through the city, transients arrive. Children, elderly citizens, homeless men, Native Americans, Japanese, all eat together. Manhattan Project. A physics professor from this small town's college sits on the park bench transfixed. The irony of his life astonishes him, leaves him stunned. He floats like a particle of dust between a moment 50 years ago and the present moment. He worked on the Manhattan Project. Anonymous, he looks around the gathering. Nagasaki Hiroshima. The last speaker survived the bombing of Hiroshima. Bright morning, blue skies, sunshine. Hearing the sound of airplanes, he looked out the window and saw 3 B-29s. Sleek silver pens streak across the blue summer sky. Sunshine glinting off wings. A blast of red and orange like a sunset, then pink. It was dark as midnight. He felt pressure across his body, hid under his school desk. Equations written on the blackboard, E equals MC squared. His hands covered his eyes, ears sticky with wet blood, many small cuts from flying glass blown inward from the window. Slow motion, millions of points of light and dust. Matter cascading inward, down upon itself, imploding. Beautiful, but deadly. Yates predicted the center cannot hold. Nothing left of the building but the first and second floor beams, his schoolmates, dead or dying. Aftermath. Small Japanese man, Western bolo tie, polished amber agate, sky blue jacket, apologizes before he tells his story. He doesn't want to offend anyone, not the Pentagon, the White House, or the military. He describes the 12 and 13-year-old boys drafted earlier in that year, their duty to clean up the center of the city. That morning, the skin dripped and peeled off their bodies, puffed and swollen, they would soon die. They walked like ghosts toward the center of the city. He looks towards Hiroshima, saw black smoke curling into the clouds. He begins to cry. He suffered with fever for 2 weeks. His body shed the radiation. Summer morning, the red and orange explosion, the mushroom cloud, the pink aftermath, the final darkness, all indelibly printed on his mind's eye. Get a drink of water. And I'd like to end with 3 poems from my book, Transcending Damnation Creek Trail, and other poems. Damnation Creek Trail is in northern California. It's in the Redwoods, and they called it Damnation Creek because a lot of the pioneers that came through there lost people crossing it. And so, so I hiked with a friend down through there, and so this poem came from that trip. Mists above us and mists around us and above us, redwood air, breathing the sense of 1,000 years of growth. Fern beds of moss and green blanket our path, repeating the title of the sutra, low, rolling in rhythm with our breathing, moving down and forward, laughing. The ocean beckons, billows, roaring as we climb the last mound. Light, air, mist, and vast horizon all converge. Waves swirl, crash at our hikers' feet. Reeling with insight and recognition, spiritual exercise, silence, and meditation. On the beach, the tide pools, a rich reward, we begin again to walk and climb. Delicate diamond filaments stretched across the path. Rays of sun suspended from above. Inclining, sloping down to meet the sea, enduring monuments, faithful, broaden our vision. Gulping air and water, cool mist envelops us. Breaths now come in gasps as we begin to soar and climb, walking, ascending. The sun sears through the trees, rests in fragments on the forest floor. Our muscles strain, we stretch toward the light. Everything seen for the first time. Rebecquita. Rebecquita, supple sleeper, warm brown Italian woman, my white arm rests against your tan face, innocent Sicilian, resettled in Peru. Fingers rise and fall, woven in the calm waves of your hair. Rebecquita of the yucca groves, your clay-brown feet on hot-stoned Lima streets, shaped by morsels of vegetables, dusty pebbles, shards of broken glass. Feet that fill the cracks between each stone reform again, adaptable and easily loved. You rest in the crook of my arm like a small brown jungle nut. Your toes spread flat and wide, leave a space for my toe, which fits securely in between. Wilderness child, daughter of the Amazon basin, in the early morning you whisper Spanish in my ear, low and rolling, murmuring like the winding rivers you talk of rafting, Rubio of Pucallpa. 3-week river trips, living on bananas, yucca, canned American green beans. Crazy, Peruvian, and wise, your dress of red, yellow, Latin stripes, billows, whips in the dust at your feet, outlines the triangle of your legs as you walk towards me. And I'll end with Interstate 5. Driving Interstate 5 from Eugene to Portland, I pass Albany, pulp and paper boxcars filled with sawdust. The Lucky Eagles casino sign, mileposts that fly by like a bullet train, shout out the distance to go, motels with a view of the beach. Green state highway signs announce the radio station for a weather report. Harley motorcycles, manufactured homes. While traveling in France, I went to see One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, filmed in Oregon. During the credits, a flash of Interstate 5 rolled by. Homesick for the winding black ribbon that runs up and down the valley, rock quarries, horses lying down to rest, in fields along the highway, rain-drenched Sundays, I took out my wallet and held my return ticket between my palms. Thank you.